So I want to present a scenario. You walk into a grocery store and you've got your mask on, but you don't really want to wear the mask. You don't believe that it's actually effective, and the only reason you're wearing it is because you can't stand the idea of disappointing other people. You can't stand to have their gaze back at you from their mask in such disapproval that you shrink under the weight of it. Do you identify with that? Can you feel that? Is that your scenario in life? I think it is for a lot of people right now. They really don't want to wear the mask, but they're caving into it because they can't stand the consternation of their peers. And I think that's running rampant right now. So, what's that about? What is inside of us that has a strong opinion about something, and yet we don't act on it? We do not take those forward steps to carry out what's sitting inside of us into the world. Fear, I mean, you could argue it's fear. It's that idea of not having the ability to pull that up within you and to make it a reality. And I know in my life, I was not born coming out of the womb fighting. I was not the person who stood up in a place of confrontation. In fact, I usually cowered under it, especially as a child. And it wasn't until I was probably 14 that I ever stood up for myself under what I consider to be an authority figure. And even that was kind of bluffing my way through it. I didn't have a lot of feeling of sturdiness under the weight of that situation. But I did it because I was tired of the thumb on top of me and I couldn't take it anymore. I blew up. And that's how I stood up in that situation. It was only over time did I start to understand what was missing inside of me that would make me feel like I could take up my own space and in a firm place, in a place of conflict, be able to go, no, I will not move. You will not move me. And after I went to acupuncture school and started studying Chinese medicine, I started to understand some of the components that help us to either feel that way, like we're full within ourselves, our blood is rich and thick, and we've got substance and sturdiness, or when we don't. And I had to develop it over time, so I wasn't faking it till I make it. And do you have any comments on, from your perspective, on what that is within people that they cannot conjure up? What is it that causes us to cave under the pressure of that peer pressure?
Well, when you really kind of, if you take your hands and you kind of imagine that in one hand you're holding your convictions,
Mm-hmm.
and in the other hand you're holding your fear of judgment or fear of disapproval. If you really get honest about which one has more weight, you'll understand exactly why you cave. So the question is, if you look at what's in your hands and you go, I don't want this one to have more weight than this one, then you have to start cultivating what's sitting in this hand over here. So in this hand over here is the conviction, yeah? So spend more time, spend more thought, spend more of your actions involved within that conviction. Because if you really pay attention to the amount of time you're spending thinking about not just that situation of the masks, but any situation in life where you are doing something and that you really don't want to do because you're afraid of the disapproval of someone else, the disappointment of someone else, the judgment of someone else in general. When you really start to examine it, you'll find, oh wow, this is actually a theme. This is not just happening here. It's
Right.
The reason it's so easy for me to go into that one is because this is the one I practiced the most. So you have to make an intentional effort to practice whatever is the opposite of that. So in this scenario that you're talking about with the masks, if you're someone who actually has these convictions, because this question was really coming from someone who saw one of our videos and wanted to know an answer to this question. And this person said, I do have these convictions. And we noticed that a lot of people do. So spend some time with those convictions and have some follow through with the thought about it. What happens if across the board everyone doesn't engage in their strength and convictions? What happens? What happens if everyone continues to cave? What happens if people stop caving?
Right.
And just start multiplying that in your mind, start playing it out, and notice the different outcomes. And then ask yourselves, which outcome do I want to be a part of? And at the end of that outcome, how do I want to view myself? At the end of that outcome, what will make me proud of myself? And then start to act on that which will make you proud of yourself. And this is actually just excellent advice for every single area of your life. Anytime you're wanting to become a stronger individual, stronger in your character, more confident, you have to do this kind of thing. You have to engage in that which actually builds your self-esteem. And the way you build self-esteem is by taking action with that which makes you proud of yourself. And the way that you diminish your self-esteem is by taking action with that which makes you not proud of yourself, or that which makes you feel shame. So in these situations, in the whole mask situation, sure, on spot, it's hard dealing with the disapproval of others. But once that shopping experience is over, what are you left with? So this is a little scenario to kind of run through before you ever even get there, and to just practice it in your own mind. Practice what it feels like to be disapproved of. Practice what it feels like to still smile and emit kindness, emit care toward others, emit gentleness while standing strong with your own convictions. You don't have to sacrifice your own convictions to appease others. That's not real love. And anyone that would ask you to sacrifice your heartfelt convictions in order to make them feel better has serious problems. So these are the things to practice, and we encourage you to practice them before you ever get anywhere, so that you already know how to handle it mentally. And then notice at the end of that experience in your imagination, just take note. Do you feel proud of yourself? Like, oh, I did it. I handled the judgment of others. I did it. You probably will feel proud of yourself. You know, we know that Angel does. Every time she feels heavy and she feels like, ugh, I really hate doing that. But what it has built inside of her to stand strong in what she believes in, and to really feel like she's contributing to the freedom of mankind and the freedom of her child's future and other children's future, it's building self-esteem. So in these situations, you really have to assess which one is going to build your self-esteem. And you have to base it on you. You have to base it on you. So if you're someone that what you feel the most about is that you don't want to offend someone else, then you have to look at it maybe in a different way. But if you're not wanting to offend someone because you're afraid of the disapproval that's going to come back on you, that's not actually about the other person. And where most people are in the world today, emotionally and mentally, the one that's the truer case scenario is that you're actually more afraid of what's going to come back on you. That's the more honest scenario. So this also requires you to be able to really look at yourself with a lot of honesty and really decide what is the true course of action for me to really cultivate strength of character.
Excellent. I'll add at the end, I mentioned, things I did over time to start to feel like I was more full in my body, taking up my space, like my blood had essence to it. Thick essence was I started doing Qigong. And I did Pon Gu Shen Gong for years. It's been 17 years now plus. And truly, as my energy got bigger, I felt like I was taking up more space over time. And even as I changed my diet, and I went from, this is going to be controversial, but it's my story. Now I went from having less vegetable matter, much less, and much more good quality animal product. I also felt more firm in my body, and it rooted into my body. And then, as they're saying, I exercised my convictions more and more over time to where it's a skill, it's a practice thing, it really is. You just step up and you do it and you do it. And every time you do it, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And I've been confronted, I've been like, hey sir, we require masks in this grocery store. What are you doing? I'm sorry, can't wear one. And you walk away. And they walk away. And that's been my experience so far. You may not have that exact experience every time you do this, but if you'll practice it, how you hold yourself when you walk into that situation can also determine how much pushback you get. Because if you hold yourself firmly like, I belong here without my mask on, and I'm here to do something, and I have every right to do this, shopping here without a mask on. If you can hold that, people are less likely to come at you and even giving you that look because you fill it up. They can feel that about you, whether they consciously know it or not. They can feel that you're holding your space and your conviction and you're ready to carry it through. So I love the subject matter, conviction and carrying it through. I think it's very important. If we all did this, we'd have a very different world right now. So I challenge you, we challenge you to think about what we've said here and put your convictions into action. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.